What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show. This morning we are on the beautiful island of Corsica, part of France, and we're staying not too far from here. We came across on a ferry a couple of days ago and just picked this spot to sort of do a little research and slow down and have a couple of days on the beach. Last night we came out to fly the drone and ended up taking a few pictures. There's this beautiful lighthouse behind me, set on this nice little peak just outside of town. We have a full moon setting right in this little dish, which we didn't expect, so that's kind of awesome. I don't know if we'll get that in the shot, but we'll do our best. We're about 20 minutes from sunrise, so plenty of time just setting up, trying to get a couple of shots of the moon while we are here. Yeah, so welcome back to the show. I'm glad you're here, and here we go. All right, so just a little bit about the shot here. I'm at f11. I have manual focused. The light is super even right now. We're just barely starting to get the actual light from the sun. It's hitting underneath some clouds on the distance in the other direction. And so it's giving us a really even, sort of almost a light box sort of, my gosh, a light box effect on the lighthouse, on the little hill here, and the moon is still up. We have just enough clouds and mist on the other side of the lighthouse to be picking up those pinks and blues that this blue hour early morning can give us. I'm shooting about 1.5 seconds, obviously on mirror lockup, manual focus as usual. Yeah, and it looks super good. The moon's still in the distance, and actually this winding road that goes up to the lighthouse, the moon's right at the end of that, so it could add to the composition. It's really small because I'm shooting really wide, but you'll be able to see it, and that's cool. Well, things started getting really interesting. Lighthouse, moon, and we're about to lose the moon, but the sun just went behind a big bank of clouds, and so we're just gonna have to wait for that to come up. I think we're gonna lose the moon in the scene, which is all right. I wasn't gonna play that big of a role, but a little, you know, that little shiny spot is fun sometimes. Anyway, so now it's just a waiting game. We've probably got 15 or 20 minutes before the sun gets up over these. Things were lighting up really pink, and we thought, well, maybe this is gonna just pop. But at this point, I kind of don't think that's going to happen. You can see back here, it's just a nice big long bank of clouds. Anyway, and I keep turning around, but I'm standing on this very narrow piece of land here that just sort of drops off past the camera. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so I have to be very, very careful stepping around here. But I'm going to take a few more shots. The sun's getting, they're the moon. Sunrise, sunset, moon, sun. The moon's all getting pink and cool, and so I gotta put this down. Now it really looks like the morning light is over, but everything's still really evenly lit, and I kind of think that if we wait for the sun to come up over the horizon over there, it's going to light up the church on a couple of sides, so we'll have a highlight side and a shadow side. The church, I said church, didn't I? The lighthouse. Words. It's going to light up the lighthouse on one side. We'll have a shadow side, in theory, and it could make for a really nice addition to the picture. Also, that cloud bank that I talked about earlier that's moving across has come all the way into the frame, so now it creates a really nice swooping divider up in the sky, so that could make for a little nice element in the sky. Yeah, anyway, so I think normally I would be on my way out of here, but I kind of want to see what happens when the sun comes up, and we have no place to go, so we'll wait. All I'm waiting for, just that little little poof sun to just shine through and light it up, and you know, that, you know, it's really funny. You notice little things after you've worked through thousands and thousands of files, and one of those things is a lot of times on a digital camera, when you have like a bright sky behind, say, a ridge line or some rocks, you get this really weird dark halo right at the edge. And obviously it's the camera trying to, you know, make that contrast happen and all of that. But in this scene, this little ridge line of rocks going up to the lighthouse actually has that. Like if I zoom in, I can see that little black line, but I know when I get this into the computer, that's gonna bother me, because I'm gonna feel like that's shouldn't really be there, because that outline is just sort of, I don't know, it's almost artifacty. And so every time I see that, I cringe, because I know when I zoom in and I'm checking detail and all of that, chromatic aberration, all those little details that you have to check, I'm gonna notice that little line, and it's totally in here. Like I can see it with my eyes, the camera's obviously seeing it. It's gonna bug me in the file, for sure. All right, so when this happens, the sun is just beginning to get close to the top of that cloud bank. So when this happens, it's gonna happen very fast. There's gonna be those 2 or 3 seconds, 5 seconds when it's just coming through the top of the clouds. It's just warming things up here, but it isn't blowing them out, because the sun's plenty high enough that if it's actually out, it's going to be just blasting this whole place with light, and we're gonna end up with too much contrast to really have a lot to make out of this afterwards, because there will be just too high of brights and too dark of, well, you know, it's going to be too much. So we're watching this very carefully, because we're going to have maybe 2 or 3 shots of that warm light hitting everything, giving us nice highlights and shadows without getting in too heavy and feeling like it's full daylight.
What do you think, Trey?
Still waiting. I don't know, that it's like that cloud bank just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and like as the sun comes up, the cloud bank comes up, and well, maybe we'll be here till this afternoon. All right, I'm just gonna squint into the sun for a minute here, because now it's out. The one thing the reason why we're waiting for that just little moment where it's just barely coming across the top of the clouds is because if the sun comes on too heavy, like I was saying, you end up with really stark highlights, really dark shadows. But the other thing you end up with is there's a little bit of land here, the one that I'm standing on, that causes a shadow right back here. And so in the frame, you'll actually see a big dark line where the shadow starts. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it works for your composition, but in this case, it's just going to look like a really weird line in the middle of our scene. And so now the sun's up so high that's happening. And I don't know if you can see it, because I can't really see the screen, but yeah, there's a line. I don't want the line. Oh, that's cool.
What do you see?
I shot enough frames through that highlight section that you actually see that line that I was talking about develop and then go away as the sun goes back behind the clouds. It's nice. Handheld and mirror lockup. That doesn't really go together. Handheld and laughing also doesn't go well together. And a little sailboat right in the little divot there. Ooh. Ooh. All right, I think we're gonna call that. We either have something or we don't. We're gonna head back to the hotel. We're gonna offload this whole card, the whole middle portion of which is just me going, please, something happen. And yeah, here's the shot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I know, because it changes on the screen. I can see the screen change. I know you're filming me. Stop it.